And hello, guys. Ooh, what the hell's happening here? I think we're good, right? We're good. We're good. All right.
Are we live?
Yes, we are. Welcome to the 101.9 FM podcast. This is your host, BrassO, and welcome back to the BrassO show. Today, we have a really, really good friend of mine, a really special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name's Connor Fitzgerald. I've been friends with Nick for about
Solid year?
year or two now. I
Yeah.
met him through my buddy Daniel from high school. They went to grade school back together in Ottawa.
Shout out to Daniel. He might be hearing this at some point.
Yeah, I hope he does.
I think he will. Well, anyways, Connor, let me tell the people a little bit about you. You're a MEC president. You're third year. You're one of the smartest people in this school, most definitely.
I don't know about that, but
And-
I'd like to think that I'm somewhat intelligent.
Yeah, I think we could all say we're somewhat. I mean, not to flex to everybody, but we go to a decent school. I think we're all decently up there, right? But and you're also hosting a banquet, I think,
Yes,
next week. How is that going?
March 29th at the 4 Point Sheraton Hotel. We have 260 people coming, 260 tickets sold, and yeah, I just have been organizing that. It's the first one since the beginning of COVID that mechanical engineering has had, and I'm myself and my council has had the tall task of basically revitalizing the MEC Student Council, because it wasn't really a thing in the past few years because of COVID, and we couldn't really do that many things. But we got up to some pretty fun and interesting stuff this past year, and I'm very happy about something that I would tell my kids one day if I had them.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure both of us will have beautiful kids to tell all these stories about. But no, tell me, because I'm actually genuinely am a little bit curious, right? Like, how is the process of dealing with setting up this banquet for and there's alumni coming too, right? It's not just students, undergrads, right?
There might be a few alumni coming, but the unfortunately the cap for the space was 300 people.
Okay.
And mechanical engineering is the biggest discipline of engineering at Queen's, aside from
Civil?
ECE.
Oh.
We're bigger than civil. ECE,
Wow.
But ECE is a combination of both computer and electrical engineering, so it's kind of cheating. Not really.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're one of the bigger ones, and there was a lot of students that wanted to get tickets, and I still have people asking me if there's any tickets available left, but we already reached our date that we have to give the numbers by, so I had to say no to a bunch of people. Unfortunately, it makes me sad, but I can't do anything else past that.
No, I get that, and that's just actually a really big responsibility, like you said, Mech Eng. Because of obviously the pandemic and how that affected things. Like, if you think about it, 2023 is graduating this year, right? And 2023 were the last class, I guess, right, to really know what Queens was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I've been having a lot of conversations with people, and your class was 24, right?
Yep.
So I've had these conversations with people multiple times from older classes. And they always tell me Queens before the COVID was so much more engaging, so much more of this. I know one of the AMS. I don't know if you knew TBD. One of the AMS
To be determined.
I think to lose, to be determined to lose. But Dante, one of these guys I know from from my neighborhood, they were running for AMS. Governance or whatever they want to call it.
Yep.
And they were also telling me because they were older years or fourth years or maybe fifth at some point. I think some of them are actually fifth years, but they were telling me Queens was so much more different, right? So it's always interesting for me to hear in your position, right, being kind of not having that much guidance with considering again the circumstances.
Yeah.
And having that opportunity to sort of kind of rebuild and redesign what it is a student council, especially for the engineering.
I kind of went into it blind. I didn't really know what I was doing, and we had an issue with our elections because elections weren't really run properly through the engineering society, and so I had to start my time as on the council during week 9 of semester 1. So I had a very short turnaround time in terms of organizing events and doing elections and doing some academic initiatives. We also had an open house for incoming students who got accepted to Queen's but were trying to decide their what program they wanted to go into. So we had mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, all the different engineering disciplines together, and the atrium of the Beamish Monroe or the ILC.
Yeah.
And we were just there talking to a bunch of like essentially grade 12 students and maybe a few first years as well who were still interested. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun hearing their experiences about like trying to decide what they want to do in school and like trying to decide what they want to do for the rest of their life. And it was really interesting because I remember when I was I had no idea what I wanted to do. When I knew I wanted to do engineering, but I had no idea which discipline. And I went to the Ontario Universities Fair in Toronto, and the people that were there for Queens were just so enthusiastic about the school. Like they were like talking about how nice like the culture is here, and everybody's here to help each other out. Nobody's gonna like. There's no GPA requirement to get your first choice for discipline in engineering, which is like different than a lot of schools. So because of that, competition's kind of like out of the way. Everybody's like really close knit and wanting to help each other succeed, which I thought was really nice. And I thought that when I went there and to this university fair and heard that, I wanted to go to Queens. And I thought that the people that were there helping out the incoming students were like people that honestly changed my life. And I wanted to pay that forward because I wanted to do the same thing and give someone else insight onto the Queens lifestyle. And I was just happy that I was able to pay that forward.
I have to say the same. Honestly, when I first came to Queens, well, I mean, I guess you were also online the first year, right?
Yeah, completely.
Exactly. So I mean, I had an idea for me. I don't know how it was for you being in Georgetown, right? But I had the very, very clear idea that I was going to leave Ottawa regardless, no matter what, right?
Yeah, sorry. And shout out G-Town.
G-Town. I haven't been. I have to check it out at some point. I haven't been. I mean, I don't know what much there is to do. But
there's nothing to do. Fair. But I have so many friends in there, and so, like as long as you are going to a place or staying in a place, you have lots of friends. Like you can make anything fun.
That's true. That's like Ottawa for me too. But like, I knew I wanted to leave Ottawa, and I thought to myself, okay, because I applied to 3 different places. I wanted to apply to McGill, but like I had to pay more to apply outside of Quebec.
Yeah.
And I already had like one or outside of Ontario, and I already applied to one university outside of Ontario. And that being St. FX. So I had 3 options.
Oh, okay, nice.
I did Toronto, Queens, and St. FX.
I spent a lot of money. I applied to a bunch of different places. The only place I applied to outside of Ontario was UNB, New Brunswick. That's where my dad went for electrical engineering. So he was like, you should apply there. It's really fun there. I was like, yeah, sure. I'll give it a chance. And then I chose Queens, so sorry, Dad.
What made you choose Queens? I'll tell you what made me choose Queens, but I want to hear first from you.
Okay. I just really liked how enthusiastic the people were. I also, like, coming into Queens, I had no idea, like, any of, like, I knew a little bit about the party lifestyle, but that wasn't, like, a deciding factor.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about any of the engineering traditions. I didn't know anything about how classes were run. I just was basically basing it off of how the students would describe it themselves, and they just sounded like they were having an amazing time, and I'm glad I took their word for it because I'm also having an amazing time. I do not want this to end. And
isn't it kind of sad that we're like, you're doing an internship next year, right?
Yeah, for 16 months in Markham.
Good. Because I find that kind of sad too. Like, luckily, I'm doing my internship here at Queens. Shout out to Queens, but
yeah, shout out Queens.
But like, I've also like my story is pretty like around the same. I knew I wanted to leave. I applied to 3 different places: Toronto, Queens, St. FX. I got accepted to all 3 of them, and St. FX, if I went to St. FX, I would have just disappeared. Everyone from Ottawa that I knew previously, I just would have started a new life.
Yeah, I probably would have never met you.
Yeah, we probably would have never met.
That's crazy.
That would be a crazy. I mean, maybe eventually, who knows? But
yeah,
I would have just started a whole different life in St. FX. I don't know what would have happened. Yeah, like I can't even think about that because I feel like I still needed to be in Ottawa for just personal reasons. I had to be in Ottawa, but like that alternate universe, I just would have disappeared. Toronto would have gone either one or 2 ways. I would have been either super successful very early in life or very broke and depressed. I had an internship for Toronto because I got like one of the Toronto profs to write me like a letter of like what do you call it?
Letter of recommendation.
Letter of recommendation, exactly.
Yes, I got to get some of those from the people. Mechanical engineering, head of mechanical engineering, they said the right one for me. I was like, that's good to have.
Very useful to have. And I had a UOT prof do that for me.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and I got like a scholarship from University of Toronto that basically paid for 2 years.
Wow.
Completely.
That's really good.
And I was like, okay, I have 2 years where I have like 0 expenses. Well, for the most part, if I could figure this something out for the like if I could figure something out in Toronto, which I mean you probably can, it's a big city, right? I should be on the clear. I should have a very good start.
Yeah.
But I ended up going with Queens because I also had a scholarship for Queens at equally roughly the same value. It was closer to Ottawa. I felt like it was I think one of the big things that really got me into Queens outside of the culture, because I also didn't really know too much. I mean, I was in grade 12. I didn't really get that much into the party lifestyle at that point. But I didn't really know that much about it. Like, I just felt that like Queens had like that really cool community where like it kind of felt like a show, you know what I mean? In the sense like everyone kind of knew each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I kind of felt like, okay, I really like the location. Like Kingston in general, it's close enough to Ottawa, it's close enough to Toronto, it's close enough to like all the places you need to be. And I think the community, and I see that too, because I mean, you probably have friends who will go outside of Queens, right?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of friends who go to Guelph and also in Western as well, Laurier. I visit Laurier a lot. Like my buddy's got a really nice apartment there, and I love. I don't know if we're allowed to say this on a podcast, but doing lots of drinking games.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's honestly, it's cool.
Okay, yeah,
bro. It's fine.
Not to incriminate myself or anything.
No, but yeah, no, I have friends going in Ottawa and Carleton because obviously most of people from Ottawa are going to Ottawa, Carleton. I think out of my entire friend group, literally just me and you met Juan, right? So out of literally me and Juan were the only ones who left, and I just feel like in Ottawa and Carleton, you don't see that same sort of community sort of experience where it's like, okay, you basically walk. First of all, you get the luxury of walking to school.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Which is, I don't think people really think about that very often, right? But that itself is a luxury, unless you live in West End. But that itself is a luxury because like most of my friends either have to get picked up by their parents or they have to drive themselves. And then on top of that, just walking to school and like recognizing people that you met off certain events, clubs, experiences, whatever. That to me just really made me really love this university. And this is probably the first year that I had where like it was like truly a university experience, because like even last year was like a 50-50.
Yeah, last year was a bit rough with all the COVID restrictions.
Exactly.
And like the limitations to the amount of people that can be like indoors. So yeah, this feels like a normal year almost.
That's what it feels, and that made me really appreciate this year a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's been so many things going on and so much stuff that I've done this year that I'm like, okay, I could look back towards this year and be like, damn, this was a really cool experience.
Yeah, that's why I want to go back to school again after I graduate. I want to do a master's in either engineering or in business. I don't know which one yet.
Here's my personal recommendation. I think we've talked about this before, but I think
we should do business. Yeah, it's on the podcast now. Is this going on the air?
Live?
Yeah.
It's not live. It's pre-recorded.
Okay, but it does go on the air?
It does, yeah.
That's so amazing.
It does. Someone in the radio. I mean, shout out to the people listening to this on in their car at some point whenever this drops in the radio. But yeah, this does go to the radio at some point. Yeah, no, where was I going with this?
We were talking about you're gonna give me a recommendation on.
Yes, I do truly recommend like going into business, and like I might be saying that with a sort of biased approach, and I will admit that, but I think like you already have an engineering background, right?
Yep.
I think getting into that business background on top of that, gives you
limitless
opportunities, because who doesn't need somebody who's an engineer on top of that has background in business?
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of leaning towards that right now because I don't know, I feel like I'm sort of leaning towards the communication side of engineering more than the technical side.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like math. I love math. I'm like the biggest nerd ever, but I've just like seemed to have gravitated towards the communication side more. Like my track record at Queens, I haven't been on it. I've been on one design team technically, but I didn't really do that much. And then I was on student council in second year, and then I was on student council this year again as the president. So I feel like I enjoy communicating more and like working out problems with people more than just like sitting down at a desk and doing math all day.
More of the social aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that I'll probably do an MBA post grad. My goal is to to work for a few years and then decide what I want. And hopefully, if I do a good enough job at a company, they want to pay for me to go back to school. But that's way far in the future. I'm not going to think about that right now.
I mean, I'm sure future you in like 5 or 6, 7 years watching or listening to this will probably be like, okay, he got it. He's got it.
Yeah, you
Or
got to send
maybe
this to me
not.
after.
Yeah, no, I'll send it to you. It'll be on YouTube too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you'll be able to listen to this for however long you want, and many years to come.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, I kind of been thinking about that too, to be honest, what I want to do, because it's like we're getting close. You know, if it wasn't for the internship, we'd be graduating next year, which
Yeah, that terrifies me.
It's crazy because, I mean, this is probably like a likewise feeling that we both have, right? It's the first time in our lives, right, where we quite literally have all the options in front of us, and now we have to really choose. Like, there's like, yeah, university, I guess, was that, you know what I mean, that first step, right? But going into, because we could have easily went to college or easily just start working or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But now that we finished university, now that we've done that experience, and I'm glad I'm glad I did university. At some point, I thought to myself, I was like, should I or not?
I'm so glad I did.
Because it's also like, it's less to do with the education also, but just the overall experience. I feel like it's just really, I think you learn a lot.
Like, I've met so many lifelong friends here that I really have my entire life.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's like a great networking hub. It's a great place to learn, discover more about yourself and who you are.
Yeah.
I will say this, like, I see university less as in, like, obviously it's academia at the end of the day, and it still always be academia, but there's definitely an aspect of university outside of academia that's so important. And I think anyone outside, I mean, again, I'm speaking out of my own perspectives, but I think everyone definitely gains something out of this, regardless of whatever field of academia you get into. But I've been thinking about it myself, like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Because it's so, like, I've been thinking a lot about going out of the country for a bit.
Yeah.
Working abroad.
Yeah, it's a great time.
I think so. Like, honestly, like, if there's any time to do it, it's probably now.
Yeah.
I mean, I have options. I've been looking into maybe South America, maybe Europe, maybe the States.
Yeah.
The UAE is also another option.
Working in Europe is a lot of fun. I did that last summer.
Yes. We've talked a lot about this. I'm very envious because I was going to work in Germany too, and I didn't get my papers in time. But yeah, I know. I think Europe would be I think Europe is probably the best place to be working, presuming you have a job, right? Presuming you have a decent paying job.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I got mine through a connection that I have, that being my dad, which, I don't know, it makes me feel kind of weird because, like, I don't want it to think that it was just given to me. Right. I obviously had to work hard to get it and prove that, like, I deserved it, and I did that. But still, there's like a little feeling inside me that's like, yeah, I just got really lucky. But,
I mean, I think we could all be, humble in the sense that, yeah, we could say we're privileged in the sense that, yeah, we've been lucky enough to be in this school and meet all these people who have a bunch of different, networking opportunities. And obviously we also have our own parents that have their own established careers and their own established connections, right? Yeah. And I'm also fortunate to say that too. Like, my father, again, this is more in South America, right? Which is obviously different from Europe. But like, if I wanted to work anywhere in South America, I probably can.
That's nice.
Which, I mean, has its own benefits outside of the economics. There's, pretty decent benefits, but yeah, like, I think it's also important that, yeah, like you said, like, it inside of you don't want to think to yourself that, like, oh, this was only given to me just because of my established connections I got by birth, right?
Yeah.
But
and I know that's not the case, but, like, there's still a little bit of me that thinks that way, and I wish I could stop thinking that way. But the only way I could do that, or to stop thinking about that, would be to give the same experience to somebody else in the future. I feel like whether that be my own kids or, like, I don't know, like a cousin or just something, like
a family member.
Family member, friend, just anybody.
That's fair. Like, I mean, like, I think we're all, like, in that situation. We're all trying to establish ourselves. We're all finding our way to establish ourselves and make something out of us, right? Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, like, again, everyone's born under different circumstances. Some people are just, start off in better positions than others. And that's unfortunate and all that sort of stuff. And I get that. I mean, I was just to open up a little bit about myself. I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
like when I was born, like obviously, like I was born in a somewhat of like a decent family from overall, right? But it was different because immigrating from Colombia to Canada really like made things a bit different and
Yeah.
difficult. And my mom and my dad, when they immigrated here, um, they had two point of views. My dad already had a very well established career in Colombia. I mean, he was very high up in the academia field over there.
Nice.
And coming here, academia, I don't know if you know this, but like if you're of academia from a developing country,
Yeah.
and then you go to like Canada, you don't,
Yeah, it doesn't transfer over. Yeah.
none of your academia transfers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
very unfortunate.
and so for my dad's case, my dad was, and I get this, and this is why things started becoming difficult. When I mean, you could ask Daniel because Daniel would know a lot about this too. This is when things got sort of difficult when we first came here, was because my dad, from the moment that he kind of realized, okay, there's like very minimal, like unless he restarts, but at that point he's like 50. You know what I mean? It's not easy for someone to have the same energy at 50 to restart, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
So he had a very, very like concrete like thinking where he's like, okay, like my kids are here now, and there's very little I can do here unless I want to, like I don't want to say it this way, but downgrade himself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And do more like simpler tasks. So my only options are to go back home to Colombia. In my mom's case, my mom was a little bit younger because they have a 10-year gap. So my mom was 40.
Okay.
My mom had a bit more energy in herself. She was like more than willing to restart. So my mom and my dad got into a lot of like heat over that. Over like, should we stay? Should we leave? He ended up leaving and we ended up staying. But because of that, my dad was always like, was the breadwinner of the family. And so I was with my mom for the most part. And because my mom and my dad didn't really get along, there was always like a tension between the two. And so living with my mom, like obviously my mom starting off here in Canada, things weren't, given to us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my dad sort of helped, but like kind of. And so during those times, like I just lived in community housing for a while. And I mean, like again, like you look back, I mean, I look back towards those times, and I mean, it's only been like 4 years since my mom moved outside of community housing. But I mean, you learn a lot in those sort of circumstances. And I think in my position, I saw both what it means to be, successful and what it means to be unsuccessful. And I actually got to give props to my mom because my mom eventually finished college and now she's working in the government over in Ottawa, which wasn't easy. Definitely took a lot of work. But, I think there's a humbling experience that you get out of that. And I'm definitely grateful to be here at the end of the day. I think Canada gives you a lot of opportunities, especially when you're young. But I definitely want to see what else is out there abroad. And like you said, Europe is a very cool place.
Yeah, it was interesting for me too because when I went over there, I didn't know any German at all.
Yeah.
And now ich kann sprechen ein wenig Deutsch or ein bisschen Deutsch.
Das ist gut.
Ja. Oh, kannst du sprechen ein bisschen Deutsch?
Mein Deutsch ist noch nicht so gut.
Mein Deutsch ist gut, aber nicht perfekt.
There you go, man. Meaning, like, I can understand German relatively well. Like, I took some, like, long story short, actually, I had a very good friend. Let's call her a friend. A very good friend that was German. And we got along very well. And so we just kind of hanged out a lot. We were hanging out a lot. And she would teach me phrases in German, and I kind of just like repeated it. And like eventually, like I kind of like, oh, okay, this, because German is a Germanic language, just as English just kind of is, right?
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
It's pretty similar in many ways. So I'm like, okay, I get what they're saying. I could kind of understand. But I would love to learn German. I'm currently learning Portuguese.
Nice.
Because it's close enough to Spanish where I feel like, okay, like I could probably learn this like in a few months. But after Portuguese, I also want to just learn it because of Brazil, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to learn it because of Brazil. but
you just gave me a look for all those people that can't see this right now.
I just gave you a look for Brazil. But German
gosh.
sounds like it'd be a really, especially because like if you go to Europe, like I think a lot of people would appreciate if you know German alongside whatever native language outside of Germany, right? But
Yeah.
whatever native language you speak. So I would love to learn German. Would you want to pursue learning more German as you
Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm using Duolingo right
shout out
now.
to Duolingo?
Shout out Duolingo. I got a 265-day streak going right now.
That is very impressive.
I didn't do it last night though because I had a assignment that I was working on. But I have there's like Duolingo, there's like streak freezes where it like freezes. So I technically have not done it for that long straight, but the app tells me I have, so I feel better about myself.
I'm kind of trying because I had a bunch of different goals I want to do by the end of the year, and I kind of realized like if I multitask those goals, I'm not going to get any of them done. So my new strategy is to like focus on one goal, finish that one, and move ahead.
Yeah.
I've been currently reading a book that I really wanted to read because I have been delaying it for 2 years. That's The Intelligent Investor. I don't know if you know by friend
I do. I actually think that I got some investing book for Christmas. I forget what it was. Oh no, it was I think it was like Rich Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. I have
Rich
that
Dad.
one.
Yeah, I want to read that one.
That one's really good. I think the biggest lesson you get out of that is understanding what it means to have an asset and what it means to have a liability.
Yep.
That is the biggest thing that I got. Like I like to think like when I look back to the books I've read, I like to think I learned at least one big thing from every book I read.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like yeah, there's I think a lot of those books actually really like transform your perspective and how you view things and how you value things, right?
Yep.
And if there's one thing I could say, and not to spoil the book, but if there's one thing that I took out of it, right, is understanding what it means to have an asset, what it means to have a liability, and how that translates to your financial stability. You know what I mean? And I'll let you read the book before we can have a further conversation about
it's
it.
It's like I probably won't get to it in a bit because I have to essentially read textbooks all day, which kind of sucks. But
yeah, summertime.
Yes, summertime for sure. I'm going to be reading a lot. I want to get back into reading because I don't know. I feel like it's just a really good habit to have, and instead of me just going to bed and not wanting to read anymore, I just go on my phone, which is not a good habit. I want to get away from that. But yeah, like you can spoil the book for me as much as you want because the aim of the book is like to teach you about investing, and if you're gonna teach me about investing, then like that's the same thing as the book. So go ahead.
I mean, we'll talk about it more out of air because we need to hear your voice. We need to hear your voice. I could go on and on about this, to be honest, and then it's just gonna be me talking for like hours. But yeah, no. I would also say what you mentioned about like going less on your phone. I think everyone could understand and relate to that.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking into my hours. You know, like how like I don't know. You have an iPhone. Yeah. How many hours are on your phone? They have that like stat on.
God, I don't want to check that
on
out.
Apple.
In a while.
Mine hit 5 hours, and I think to myself, I'm like, okay. To be fair though, at least a solid hour of that is like, just like me kind of falling asleep and like kind of just listening to videos.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say I do that as well. Like I don't know. Another bad habit I have is that I can't fall asleep with no like music or anything in the background.
Is that a bad habit though?
I don't know. I feel like it kills your battery life a lot. Like
it probably does. Kill
my phone battery is like, or like phone health is at like 82% health or something like that. And once it gets below 80, it's like really bad. But my screen time yesterday for March 24th, 2023 was 9 hours. But I was also doing it like a lot of stuff on my phone with like use OneNote a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have my all my monitors set up so I can see as many things as possible. Increase the productivity, but yeah,
that's what I like.
Not an excuse.
I mean, that's the thing, right? And I think like as powerful as like people don't really, I don't really think people like really understand how powerful our mobile phones are.
It's a supercomputer in your pocket.
It is, yeah, quite literally, it's a super. And I don't think people could comprehend what that means, especially like our generation, maybe the millennials, and definitely not the alpha generation, right? Because we were born with it in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But like the whole idea that we have a device that is a handheld device, right? That is able to give us instant communication with basically anybody across the globe, right?
Yeah.
Which the concept of that is just insane.
Like if you went back in time and then just handed that device to somebody, like
even 50 years ago, I would feel.
Yeah, they'd probably like
because
implode.
Because this was before the World Wide Web.
What the? Am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
They'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no, literally, dude. And it's like, bro, like, actually, like, if you really start to think about this, like, we rely on these things badly. Like, GPS, we rely on the World Wide Web.
I'm, like, very directionally challenged. It's bad. Like, I just found out, or I just learned where Division Street was, like, this year.
Just this year?
Yeah, it's that bad.
Wow.
Because, like, I don't know what I do when I walk away from, like, a location, like, I have, like, an origin, which is my house. So I know where everything is relative to my house, but if I get far enough away where I don't recognize any, like, quote-unquote landmarks, then I'm just like, all right, pull up Google Maps because I don't know where I'm at right now.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I like to think I have, like, sort of like a conquistador inside of me that, like, kind of knows how to navigate things really well. But I still will admit I rely heavily on GPS on many occasions.
Oh, yeah.
I had this one case. I don't know if I told you about this, but when I was in France, there was a whole flood. I don't know if I told you about this.
I don't think you did, no.
Oh, man. Okay. So when I was in France, I went from
take my sweater off.
southern France. Go ahead. I went to southern France, and I went from Toulouse to this other place called Montpellier. And from Montpellier, I went to this, like, random Mediterranean village, right? That was called Palova. It was Palova de something, right?
Palova de something.
Palova de Flo, if I remember correctly. So what I found out was, there was no public transportation to get there. There was no public transportation. I had to walk 7 kilometers to get there.
Damn.
And at this point, my phone, this was before I got this. I got a new phone for this reason because I used to have an iPhone X that I used when I got from Kijiji. Mm-hmm. It started, like, the battery started acting up. And I'm in the middle of a foreign country and my phone is acting up and I don't have to, but I really wanted to see the Mediterranean Sea. I really wanted to swim in it. So I was like, I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so to get to this place, I had to walk 7 kilometers and my phone's acting up. And so I'm quite relying. My phone. I'm walking there, and it's starting to get dark too. And I'm not even halfway. I would say, like, even less of a quarter way to this random village. Yeah. My phone straight up dies. It had like 60%, dies, just dies. Good. And I'm like, okay, well, this is great. Like, it's starting to get dark. I don't really know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep walking. Right.
That's why, like, I always keep a portable charger on me now, like, no matter where I go.
Yeah,
because, like,
I don't blame you.
There was I think I had something similar happen to me when I was in Germany. I was like, it was still in, like, my own town, and, like, I could have just, like, asked, like, a local to like, direct me in the right way. But that was, like, my first few weeks. I had just gotten there, and I didn't really know any German at that point, and I was still kind of anxious to be, like, alone in Germany, and I didn't really have the guts to walk up to somebody, like a complete stranger who didn't speak my language, to ask them for help. Which, looking back on it, like, I don't have a problem with it now.
Character development.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a scary time though. I was like, I'm gonna have to sleep on the street. I don't know what's going on. I need to find my way home, like, right now.
Yeah, I had to. So like, what? Yeah, I'm walking towards these destinations. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, and it's getting dark. And I started thinking to myself, okay, like, I literally had the same, like, thinking in my head. In a hypothetical situation in which I have to sleep here, where am I sleeping? Like, I started thinking about that. Like, if I had to sleep outside, where am I sleeping? And so I keep walking, though, because I'm like, okay, like, this is going somewhere. Like, it's definitely going somewhere. And I eventually saw, like, thank God, I eventually saw this, like, light tower. So I knew I was getting there because I saw the light tower that they told me I had to see at some point. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting there. I just have to keep going. I saw flamingos for my first time too, and I was like, whoa, wow. That was so cool. I didn't even know they had flamingos in southern France. But I get to this random village, and luckily, like, there's still things open. Well, like, I mean, it wasn't even that late. It was like 8 p.m. But 8 or 9, I can't remember. Maybe it was a bit later. I can't remember. But my first place the first thing I had to do was I had to look for a hotel. Yeah. Right. The one hotel that I knew that I found that I looked up on the web before my phone just, like, decided to die on me, it was closed. So
that sucks.
So I'm like, well, shit. I walk over to this like gelato place. And I'm like, hey guys, can you do me a quick favor? Charge my phone. I'll buy an ice cream and I'm just gonna chill here. So they're cool with it. They're like, fine, yeah, it's cool. And they charged my phone. Luckily, my phone actually turned on by some miracle. I found another hotel, bit on the more expensive side, but I had to stay somewhere that night. So
at
I was
that
just
point,
like,
you just gotta bite the bullet.
I had to just bite the bullet. So I was like, okay, whatever. The next day, I finally get the opportunity to swim in the Mediterranean. All is well, life is well. At 3 or 4 hours in, a storm starts coming.
Oh God.
And I noticed it because I'm in the sea, and I started noticing, like, I started noticing the sea's getting a bit more, like, you know, tougher.
Yeah.
And I see it through, like, my eyes, maybe, like, I would say a few miles out, right? A storm, like, lightning starts and shit. And I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here.
I gotta get the hell out of here.
I got the hell out. And so I get the hell out. And, dude, within 30 minutes, this whole village is flooded. This whole like the storm hits and it hits big. I actually didn't know this. I should have looked it up, but there was actually not a tornado, but like a storm warning.
Oh, what's it called? My mind is blanking.
Yeah,
Hurricane.
Maybe it's one of them. And I'm in this village. And the trees are bending sideways, and like the water is rushing towards us. Like, the water is flooding this village. I'm in this bakery, and my phone, while I'm trying to, like, use it, dies again on me at 80%. And I'm
just throw it in the sea at that point.
I'm like, oh, my God. This cannot get worse. I'm here for, like, 5 hours while this storm hits. And I'm, like, sitting on this, like, ledge while I'm looking, like, in front of me is a storm hitting a hurricane. Eventually, it all calms down, but the whole place is flooded. And the worst part of it was I had to leave that day because I booked another hotel close to the city because I needed to leave to get to Spain, to France to Spain, and from Spain back to Canada because I had to leave. And I was going to miss my flight if I don't get to this place in time. And so I had to walk again. Because there's no public, and this time there's no public transportation because I couldn't even get a hitchhike as an example, right? Because like there's no cars, no buses,
can't just stick your thumb out.
Exactly. So I have to walk, and the whole route that I walked to get there was flooded. So I had to walk another 7 kilometers with the water up to my kneecap. And I'm just walking, and it's a humbling experience because you're walking and you're thinking to yourself, how did I get here? Like, I remember, like, I started thinking to myself, okay, in 3 days, if everything goes well, I'm back at school and everything is normal. You know what I mean?
I just got to get through this flood first.
I just have to get through this flood. and I keep going, and I keep going, and I keep going, and eventually get there. And this all just goes to the fact that we definitely rely on our phones a lot. I get to the city, but I have no idea where the hotel is or the hostel. I have no idea where the hostel is because my phone's dead, and all I know is the name of the hostel. That's it. So I get to the city. I get to this pharmacy. I'm like, please, for the love of God, order me a taxi and, like, get me here. Apparently the taxis don't work. I don't know what they were like. I don't know what happens in France, but
yeah, France
apparently
is going crazy right now.
France is going. You hear what's going on with the whole the reform for the pension?
Yeah, they did something. I don't know like what it was specifically, but they were talking about something to do with retirement, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
and like I was seeing videos on I think it was Instagram about like France like literally burning by protesters, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
It's crazy, but that's a very common thing in France.
Yeah, I was there one time a while back, and there were these protesters that had like orange vests on or something.
The orange vest protest, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it was for, but they lit a bank on fire, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm not going to withdraw money to. I forget what that street is called with like all the different shops by the.
Rue de l'Université.
I'm not sure, but you said that very well. I definitely know more German than French now. That's not good living in Canada, but yeah. What is it? Mon français is... No, I just said German as well.
There you go.
Yeah, to prove how bad I am at French now. But yeah, I forget. There's like that street with like all the shops on it, like the um I forget what it is. And there's like that like famous landmark at the very top. It's like the Triomphe something.
Oh,
It's like
Les statues de the statue.
it's like a statue, but it kind of looks like a bridge. Hold on,
Oh yes, yeah, yes. Oh, what is it called?
I'm looking up famous France.
It's like the second most popular landmark in France.
Paris landmark.
Or sorry, in Paris. It's funny that you mentioned also that you were there during the Orange Vest protest in Paris.
Oh, the Arc de Triomphe.
Arc de Triomphe, c'est ça. Avec Jean d'Arc.
Sure.
Yes.
You said with something.
Jean d'Arc is whatever. Point is, when I was in Paris too, it's really funny that you were also during there for a protest. When I was in Paris, which was also the same time that I went. It's the same because I only went to France once, right?
Yeah, me too.
It was the same time that I went for this whole flood. Like France was an adventure. Like a lot of just everything that could have went wrong in France. When I was in Paris, I was welcomed by a huge anti-government protest, and it was worse because I was walking like with a suit on and stuff, and so I looked a lot more like professional.
Yeah.
I got a tomato thrown at me. Dude, it literally ruined my shirt.
Damn.
I'm like, guys, like I'm not French, please. Oh my gosh.
Je ne comprends.
Je comprends. But that's the thing. Like, I love France. I actually really do. At the end of the day, I look back and I'm like, okay, France was fun. But like, it was also very stressful at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I also forgot this too. I got scammed when I was in Paris.
That's pretty.
There's like
yeah.
There was like these like people who were quote unquote mute, and they were like go around and then they'd wave in front of your face and then like point towards a little like sheet.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like they'd say it in English and French. Be like we are mute and we need donations or something like that.
Yeah.
So then like I don't know what I had on me, but I just gave them like a few coins. It wasn't really like a scam that like scammed me out of like a crazy amount of money. It was just like a few bucks. But like, and then I read something in like online. There was like top 10 things to avoid in Paris.
Yeah, that's the first thing. It was
like number one. It was like the mute scammers. They are not mute. They can talk. They can do everything. Like they're just normal people, but they're just trying to make money.
Yeah.
So I just gave them money basically.
That's that's
okay. Well, that sucks.
I highly recommend, especially if you're. I mean, shout out to the future us, but you're coming to us to Egypt, right?
Oh yeah,
maybe. Yes.
Yeah, I really want to go to Egypt. My parents went there so long ago, and they have so many cool photos. I'm like, I want to go there.
Okay.
I want to see the pyramids.
Okay, because if you're coming, I'm going to say you're coming with us. Okay. I want to say that. Okay. Egypt is also very, very like.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of scams going on in Egypt. Like it's like the headquarters of scams.
Yeah, my what is it? My dad got an offer from an Egypt salesman to trade my mom for a camel.
To trade your mom for a camel?
Yeah.
Was he considering it?
They joke about it that he was, but he wasn't.
I mean, camel's a camel. That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing to have. Yeah, no, because I've been really looking into it a lot myself. Because I mean, every country has their own scams that you have to probably be aware of. Like, the big one in like Italy is that they have like paintings on the floor, and they're trying to get people to step on it and be like, "Oh, you ruined my painting. Now pay me," right?
Okay, yeah.
Which is something to keep in mind if you're ever in Italy. But in Egypt, there's so many. I've been looking into it a lot, and like it is from the moment you get to the airport. Like, you're gonna realize something. You probably haven't seen this side of me. Like, you've probably seen my more civilized sense, my civilized me. But like in those circumstances, like, be very aggressive and pushy, because typically people are also being aggressive and pushy with you as well when they're trying to like either get in my taxi, you know what I mean, or buy my stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like, I'm like I'd try to avoid like physical confrontation as much as possible. The only like time that I actually thought that I would have to fight somebody that like here at Queens was
really
when,
at Queens.
So there's some drunk guy at a pizza that thought that we were laughing at him, but me and my friends were just laughing like at ourselves.
Yeah.
And he goes, "The fuck did you just laugh at me about?" And we're like, "What?" Like, what are you talking about? And then he pushes my friend Aiden. You know, remember my tall
The
friend
taller dude, yeah.
Aiden? Tall friend Aiden. Shout out Georgetown as well.
Shout
out. Like, he pushes him hard against, like, the glass of the pizza. I don't know how we got on this topic, but
this is what happens in the BrassO show.
He pushes him hard against the glass, and like, my other friend Will, shout out Will, was there.
Shout out Will. Woo.
He's a mechanic and doesn't like to take anybody's shit. So, like, he, like, basically readies his fists, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting in a fight at a fucking pizza at Queens at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And luckily the drunk guy had a sober friend that was holding it back, but like, he was like full charging to like all 3 of us. And I'm like, I've never been in a fight before that wasn't like a hockey fight, which doesn't really count at all because, like, full protection. But yeah, I was not wanting to fight at all, so I just grabbed both of them and we left.
I mean, it's also just because, like, I don't know if, like, when this happened, right? But, like, also it doesn't look good on your image.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Being, like, a mech eng, you know, being the you know, in student council and all that sort of stuff, it doesn't look good if the student council guy is starting to, you know, 1-2 somebody, right?
At this point, I wasn't actually on the council, I don't think, but still. Yeah, I definitely did not want to, like, I don't think I would have gotten charged with anything. Like, I think that just would have went away, but, like, I didn't want that opportunity to actually be there, so we just left.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, this is my thinking. Like, I can't recall. I mean, the last time I got into a physical confrontation with somebody was in, like, elementary school.
Yeah.
But my philosophy is this: like, there's literally almost, like, there's very, 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 very few reasons to ever be, like, physical with somebody.
Yeah.
Unless it's for your own self-defense or somebody you care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you gain nothing out of it. And especially in our circumstances where, you know, again, I would say we both have a lot of things coming ahead of us, and there's a lot of expectations that we have to, like, comply with.
Yep.
And because also just the fact that everyone has phones nowadays, right? You don't want to get into a situation where, like, oh, you're having a fight with somebody and then you get filmed and, like, let's just say it gets viral. Like, I don't know, it goes on, what's that one thing?
6buzz TV.
6buzz is an example. If it goes on 6buzz, and then, like, you know what I mean? Like, the guy who's, you know, like, if you're going for a job application, you don't want to be known as that guy who has a viral video on 6buzz that's on, like,
the most reliable news source.
Yes, I actually rely on 6buzz a lot. I rely on 6buzz.
Their captions are so funny.
I love 6buzz.
Oh my gosh.
I really do. But yeah, like, dude, and it's like, it's also people. I also don't think people realize this either. It's so easy to hypothetically be charged with manslaughter or even first or second degree murder off a fight.
I could not even imagine how much guilt I would feel if that ended up like, I was just, like, defending myself, and then like, the person ends up, like, passing away. Like, I don't know how I would deal with that. And I just don't ever want to be put in that situation.
Well,
so
that's
I try
the thing,
to avoid
right?
it as much as possible.
Because, like, let's just say you okay, you don't accidentally hit somebody, but let's just say you hit somebody and it hits the wrong way, right? And, like, or he falls, right? And he hits his head the wrong way. I don't think people understand how easy it is to hypothetically kill someone that way. You know what I mean?
Humans are pretty fragile.
It is pretty fragile. They are very fragile, especially, like, in the upper, you know, or more sensitive areas.
Yeah, like right in the temple.
Right in the temple, like, it is not that hard. And I don't think people kind of realize that when they get into those sort of physical confrontations. So I've always had that philosophy that, like, first of all, it doesn't look good for an image, and it's very important, especially right now, because a lot of people's images get destroyed right now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, with the AMS scandal, right? With the whole
yeah, okay, I heard about that. I don't know, like, they didn't name drop anybody, obviously, but, like, what actually happened again? Like,
you don't know what happened?
So I know that there's, like, some like racism was involved, like, with like an actual name. What actually happened?
Let me tell you. They actually did name drop too.
Oh, they did name drop?
They did name drop. I mean, she's her reputation. I can't actually. I could probably find it if I scroll far enough, but just to get into the point, one of the AMS teams that were, like, looking to govern AMS next year.
Okay.
It's really bad. So they're doing the AMS debate, right?
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what this woman, right? This woman is presenting her case for her debate or whatever, right? Whatever they're debating about, right?
Yep.
Somebody goes on the airplay, right? And is it called AirPlay or AirCloud? What is it called on Apple? The
AirDrop.
AirDrop. Yeah, someone goes on AirDrop and airdrops this one photo of her
Oh no, it's gonna be
in
bad.
like grade 11, I think. Blackface with a caption of, I can't even remember like the caption like by my head, but it was something related to like it was a very racist sort of like comment regarding watermelons and regarding.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it was
not good.
really bad. And she's doing this, and just so you have a better idea, she's like a white blonde girl, right? As she's presenting her case, her what do you call that? Her pitch, right? Everyone's getting that photo.
Oh no, they airdropped it in the meeting.
In the middle of her pitch.
Oh my
in
god,
her,
that's horrible.
They sabotaged her. They like quite literally sabotaged her. I don't know who did it. I think I don't know if they're investigating that, because it's just like the timeline's a bit, you know what I mean? Like it's obviously targeted. Like you know what I mean? But it's this really bad photo of her with that caption with blackface, and she's doing her pitch, and everyone's getting this photo, and I'm sitting here like, oh my god, this, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, were you in the meeting?
I was not there specifically, but I had friends who were texting me while this was happening.
Oh jeez.
So one of my friends got the image, and he was like, yo, this is happening. And I'm like, oh my god, there's no way. There's no way this is happening. Like, this is bad. And apparently, according to my friend, like, they literally canceled the debate halfway of her pitch. She had no idea what was going on at this point. They brought her backstage, and that's when all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose.
Oh my goodness.
And then yeah, so you have those, and so that's what I think, that like her image.
That's wild.
Her image is destroyed. You know what I mean?
Wow. Was there any like consequences for the person that airdropped it as well?
Well, no one knows what it. I don't think no one knew. I don't think that. I don't know if anybody figured out who was the airdropped, but I mean, look, obviously it was a very bad, circumstances, and obviously the photo is very racially profiling.
Yeah.
But what really made me like kind of like. What really made me like really like think about this was like the fact that people decided to do that right then and there. You know what I mean? Like, as if it was fairly targeted.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, it's at that time. So it was really interesting. But going to the point is that her image is now destroyed. You know what I mean? In the sense that like now she's just known as that one girl who ran for AMS and had a whole blackface going on, right? And I think this just goes along to my point of protecting our image right now, just because a lot of people are losing it right now.
Yeah.
And this doesn't matter. And this goes with whatever. Honestly, I feel like it's going to be a big recurring problem as we grow older, just because we've been basically born in the age of digitalization, and everything gets recorded and saved on the internet. And I'll be honest, I have a bunch of photos and a bunch of videos from when I was growing up that I wouldn't like to see again if I was a bit older, to be honest, or even right now, to be honest. So, and I'm sure everyone could relate. Everyone has those videos or photos that they look back and they're just like, yeah.
I got some antics that I probably pulled when I was in grade or like middle school or high school that I probably would regret to see now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's the problem that we're seeing right now, right? Is that so? I wouldn't even be surprised if like even Trudeau, like Trudeau's blackface. You know?
Yeah, like our president, or sorry, not president, our prime minister.
Our prime minister did blackface. Like there, and it's going to be such a recurring thing. I feel that like imagine like in 20 years, the president of the United States and someone leaks his Xbox game chat. You know what I mean? Like.
The Discord leaks are here.
The Discord leaks. Like, dude, like if someone leaks my Discord, I shouldn't say this out loud. I should not say that out loud.
Redacted.
Oh no. But yeah, like those are the sort of things that like, I mean, are going to be a pretty big recurring issue, and unfortunately I feel like there's no way around it. So it's interesting to see how that's going to evolve for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern of mine. I don't want, like, my image is a concern of mine. Like, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody, like, if, for example, somebody in this room right there in that chair, right? Let's just say had an image of you because of whatever reasons, whether they've been told something by somebody else or they read something, I don't know, right? And they had a negative opinion about you. What would you tell
I
them?
honestly like think about that a lot. Like what I would say to someone if like they have like an opinion or a view about me based off something that they saw
Yeah.
off of like a photo or a video. Like I actually think about it a lot, and I have no idea what I would tell them. Like I'd be like, yeah, man, like I was being dumb. I didn't know any better, and like I really don't know what else there is to say because like it's tough. It's a tough situation. Like they know that you did that at some point. I don't know what I just dropped. My AirPods.
You want me to put the flashlight?
That's okay. I can get them. Tell me if I'm hotter or colder. Oh, got it. Never mind.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have really no idea. Like other than just like apologize. I'm like not make excuses for myself, but just be like, yeah, like that was the old me. Like I've grown a lot, matured since then. Like I'm sorry if I like offended you or in any way, or if you see me as this bad person, but I hope that we can move past it. Just something like that. That's like the only thing I could think about saying.
I think that's the most mature way of saying things because, like you said, what else is there to say? You know what I mean? Like in the sense that like what happened has happened. You know what I mean? You can't go back and just say, okay, this didn't happen. And especially if it's something that happened, say, even like 5, 10, even a year ago. You know what I mean? Because so much things can change within a year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I like to think to myself that I try to keep myself like with an open mind in the sense that like I don't believe in judging people through of who they were in the past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd rather judge them with who they are now.
Yeah.
Because likewise, I view myself even say 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and that individual was completely different than what's going on.
Something wild's going on.
Something wild's going on. Yeah, who knows? But that individual was completely different, you know? And I think it's important, and as we grow older, and perhaps when we listen to this together, maybe in 5 or 10 years,
10-year anniversary.
10-year
BrassO
anniversary,
show.
exactly. Perhaps we're going to listen to this very episode. And I like this. Is what I also like to think is that this is also an archive for many people, and it gives the opportunity for people to look back, right?
Yeah.
And compare themselves from who they were right now to who they are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm a very nostalgic person.
Yeah.
I definitely find myself like looking through old photos of me, looking through old like fun times that I've had like a long time ago, and this is like something I would definitely look back on and be like, damn, like this is like a really cool thing that I did back in my uni days. But yeah, I would definitely do another one if you would have me back.
100%. Like I want to keep doing this. I've always said I've wanted to do a podcast at some point, and I've had many failed attempts, many failed attempts to really get something established. But again, this goes with being here at Queens, right? Like having this like space and platform to like be able to do this has only been because of Queens.
Well, if you wanted a temporary co-host for the rest of this year before I go on internship, I'd be down.
You want to come? I think we're doing another one next week. I have a few other candidates. There's this one guy. I don't know if you know Ahmed. Oh, you're in the Gentleman's Club, right?
I am. I signed up to go play poker because I like poker, and I don't know a lot of people who want to play with me. But I've been really busy and haven't been able to go to any of the
fair enough
the meetings.
The meetings, that's fair.
Yeah, I found out about this Gentleman's Society Club when I was at Mitchell Hall for a class.
Okay.
And I was in the washroom, and
Nice.
I looked up, like I was at the urinal. I looked up, and there's just the flyer, like right there. I was like, "Huh, that's kind of cool." And then I looked at the email. I was like, "Wait, I know that email."
Luca?
And Luca. He was the Mech Prez from 2021 or whatever last year was.
Really? I didn't know he was the Mech Prez.
Yeah. So he was actually one that like taught me like a lot of stuff about how to run the council, and he was really helpful. I was like, well, if he's running it, I might as well give it a shot. And the flyer looked really cool, so.
That's what a small world we live in.
I know.
I'm actually really good friends with Luca as well.
Yeah, I see him a lot in lectures.
That is very interesting. I mean, again, small world, but yeah, like, dude, like Ahmed is this other dude I know from I think he's doing economics if I remember correctly. He is currently president of the Queen Student Investor Group.
Wow, getting all the presidents on here.
Yeah, all the presidents, all the people, all the connections. Who knows? Maybe I've been thinking my long-term goal, right? At some point during my university career, right? At some point, I would love to have Patrick Dean here, or like one of like the deans or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Principals.
engineering dean Dean DeLizio.
Dean DeLizio or Wanda or I don't know who the art side guy is, but like I'd love to have one of them here and just have a conversation with them, kind of see how their perspectives are with Queens or with anything, right?
Yeah, I was in actually a department meeting, mechanical department meeting, and he was there chairing it. That's and he was talking about like a lot of stuff in terms of like wanting to get Queens more involved in international students.
Yeah.
And I think there was a bit of a drop off since COVID because of like, you know, travel restrictions to Canada and like people like needing to stay home, and so there's kind of a drop off in that a little bit. But they're like shooting back and forth between like all like different faculty members, staff members about how we can increase international involvement. And he was going to, I think he said he was traveling to, I don't even know if I'm allowed to be talking about this, but he was going to travel to Dubai, Vietnam, and I think India. To go like advocate for Queens and talk about the opportunities that we have here for international students and aim to get those numbers back up.
That's interesting. Okay, because those are all Asian countries right then and there. But I actually met a very, very big like community of Dubai like internationals. And the interesting thing about Dubai is that Dubai is like, I mean, like no one's from Dubai, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like everyone's like ethnically wise, they're from different places, but they're all like raised in Dubai.
Yeah.
Right. So you see like a lot of like people from like say South Africa to like Pakistan to like, I mean Italy, like all these different places, but they're all from Dubai, but they're ethnically, you know, somewhere else. So I that's the one thing I've found really interesting about Dubai. And I've also got offered to work there. So.
You got offered to work in Dubai?
Yeah.
That's big.
AMC, do you know, I said AMC. Do you know PwC? The audit firm?
I don't think so.
Okay, they're like a firm that like do accounting, or I think they do also like auditing of stuff. But yeah, I got offered an internship there. The only reason why I didn't take it was because Queens would have been a lot more economic. Although it would have been really cool to be in Dubai, but
yeah. That my experience in Germany was definitely not like the smartest thing for me to do economically at the time.
But it was an experience.
But it was a great experience, and it's also like the work experience there, working in arguably the engineering hub of the entire world.
Yes.
That experience is worth more than gold in the long run, I hope.
No, I think experience, and I've advocated this for a long time, and I hope future me agrees with this too. I think the best thing you can do at this age, because I mean, yeah, you could like, you know, work and get your money up, and that's all good, and that's also great. But gaining that valuable experience and diversifying that experience as well is huge, because then you go into like, let's say your dream job, right? And you're going to the interview and they ask you, okay, what have you done? What have you done with your life? Yeah. Well, let me tell you. Let me go on my notes real quick. I'm like, let me tell you, done this in this place, done that in this place, done this at that place, and not just like say like, okay, in your case, like engineering in Germany, which is also like, I mean, that's a great, right? But then say you also have, I mean, let's just say like you did some sort of other thing.
I had a few other jobs that I also did. I worked for a company called Rampf. They were that was the company I worked for in Germany. There's like different like sub companies of like, so there's like Rampf Group, which is like the top, like the
what oversees everything. And then I worked in Burlington, Ontario, a company called Rampf Composite Solutions, and they did like chemical and material processing to make carbon fiber stuff. And then so I have like the materials side as well, and they also dealt with like consulting and stuff.
They did aerospace and like some like military applications. Nothing like crazy. Like I wasn't making like
bombs,
like weapons of mass destruction or anything like that. But I would basically make like surveillance stuff. So like they had this rotating 360 degree camera household that they have to also to like attach underneath, like I don't know if it was like a helicopter or like a plane or whatever it was. It would like rotate and you could see 360 degrees. So it was like a little like half a circle enclosure. And in order for me to work at this place, I had to get, what is it, like clearance by like 3 or 4 different references that I had to talk to and be like, can you vouch for me to say that I wouldn't reverse engineer any of these things? Not that I think that I could, because I'm still a student. To vouch me that I wouldn't reverse engineer these drawings and engineering diagrams and all these different things to make things that would harm humanity. And then my references were like, yep, he's good, I think. So then I got clearance, and then I worked there, and then I also, my internship like this coming summer and school year is going to be at an automotive company, or automotive safety systems company called Veoneer, which is based out of Sweden, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Scandinavia would be an awesome place to check out.
Yeah, I really want to go over there at some point.
They're very, very, very cool people over there. Also, apparently very attractive, but
it's that point in the show, ladies and gentlemen.
It's that point of the show, but like, yeah, no, like I said, diversifying that experiences, and like you said, I mean, you clearly know and understand what I'm talking about. Diversifying what you've done, like getting into engineering, aerospace, automotive, consulting, whatever, gives you that background and that confidence whenever you go for the big kill for whatever job or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I've become I've become a lot more confident, and I feel like that's kind of like something that I was struggling with a bit before, was like my confidence and my ability to do like good work, and like I don't know if maybe still like there,
still working on it,
still there a bit, but definitely felt a lot better since I've gotten all these different experiences. Now I like go into interviews for jobs, and like I still feel a little bit nervous like meeting somebody for the first time that has like
what makes you nervous about that?
I don't know, just the fact that they like have the power to give me the job that I'm looking for.
Right.
But like my first interview, I think I had to do like an interview to actually like apply to Queens, and like I was like shitting bricks basically.
Right.
I was terrified.
How did that go?
I feel like I stuttered a lot like when I was doing those interviews, but like now I'd like just know to like speak calmly and like not rush myself, and like I feel like my number one like issue right now is public speaking. Where it's like, if it's just like you and me like talking to like a microphone, that doesn't matter. But like if I'm in front of an audience talking to like, for example, 300 people, when I was advertising for the McBanco, which we circle back on an hour later into the podcast, then like when I got up in front of the class, I just like, I feel like I was trembling.
Right.
But again, just with experience and throwing yourself into that situation more and more, then it gets better. I can already feel it getting better. But
here's what I did with public speaking. I'm not bad at public speaking. I'm pretty decent at it. And what I did, and this is what I did back in grade 9, I just ended up embarrassing myself as much as I can. And embarrassing yourself in front of your class actually is character development, because it makes you comfortable with the idea of slipping up in front of a crowd.
It makes you feel comfortable with the idea of feeling uncomfortable.
Exactly. What I did, I'll tell you what I did. In grade 9, we had this whole French presentation thing, right? What I did, and I thought to myself, and I was grade 9, I was pretty sharp at this point. I thought to myself, I need to get to a situation where I'm just like absolutely clowning on myself. And so what I did was I brought a bunch of stuffed toys, and in front of the class, may I add, I was using these stuffed toys and playing around with them.
What is it? A puppet show?
Like a puppet show, right?
Oh my gosh.
And like there's a photo of it like somewhere on my phone. But I also had like a bunch of like toy like hats and stuff around me that I had growing up. And so I had like these like moose, like what do you call those? Like the moose antlers. I had antlers on me and all these like really childish stuff around my on my body. And what that did, alongside other things I did, was embarrass myself to the point where people were laughing at me. And yeah, in the short term, you're like, well, this kind of sucks, right? But you start like getting numb to the idea, or numb to the feeling of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And again, I don't recommend, hey guys, it's just all like, it's embarrass ourselves in public.
Yeah, let's make an ass of ourselves in front of the entire class.
Exactly. Like nowadays, maybe not, but like back then, that actually really helped.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just got a funny story that's like kind of about public speaking, but it's on Zoom. But
Yeah,
you go first.
Okay, I honestly like I think like nowadays if I had to give anybody advice when it comes to public speaking, is that simply like if like hypothetically say you flip up or slip up, right?
Yeah.
People are gonna forget about it in like a second.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like I always just think that people will hold on to that and then just like always remember that like me as that person who slipped up, but like they obviously won't.
Like nobody cares that
Unless you
much.
do something
you know what I mean?
like absolutely like drastically stupid or mess up like in such a bad way.
Yeah.
But like that's not gonna happen.
Oh, exactly. And as long as you have that confidence, and again, as long as you start off with that confidence,
and you know what you're talking about,
and you know what you're talking about, because here I could go and be publicly speaking about like I don't know, like what sort of thing, like something related to health sciences, and I mean like I don't know anything about that, right?
Yeah, same.
So, yeah, like again, as long as you know what you're talking about and you're confident about what you're saying, you should be okay.
Somebody asked me how Python works. I can talk for hours.
Exactly. There you go. Right.
The story that I was going to say about it's not really public speaking because it was on Zoom.
Yeah.
But in first year of Zoom University, as a lot of people call it, we had like an intro class for I think it was called like APSC like 100 or something. It was like the design groups that we have in first year, so you can like meet a bunch of people and like get some experience working in a group. And we had like this big intro lecture at the start of the thing, and like they asked us to like at the beginning to unmute and just like talk about something in like breakout rooms, just like introduce yourselves to like I think it was like 3 or 4 other people. And so I did that, and I thought that I had muted my mic when I came back.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Oh shit.
And I don't know if like just everybody else had their mic muted, but like whenever, I don't know if you know this about Zoom, but like whenever you talk or whenever somebody's speaking in Zoom, like there's like a little green ring around your name. And so I didn't actually say anything, but I think I just like drank like some soda or some pop or something, and I just let out like the most earth-shattering belch ever, like right into the mic. And my name shot right to the top, green ring around, and this is in the middle of like our instructor speaking, and he goes, "Okay, thank you very much, Connor," and then keeps talking. I was like, "Oh no, what'd I just do? And I just left. And
you left
there was like 400 people in the Zoom call.
Oh my god.
So that's like my like biggest like fuck up moment probably, but like that's like over Zoom. It doesn't really count, but it still was like for maybe like 2 or 3 minutes after that, I was like, what the hell did I do? Because I was like, that was like one of our first lectures, like online lectures ever at Queen's. And I was just like completely dropped the ball, just like right off the bat. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a fun 4 years, but I think I rebounded pretty well from that.
I think you did. I think you definitely did. And then, I mean, there you go, right? I mean, I think personally, I haven't seen you public speak yet, but I know for a fact that you definitely have developed your character. I think we've had conversations like this many times about just like from when I first met you till now. You know what I mean? I definitely have noticed a development in your character.
Yeah, I was very shy coming into university. Like actually, that was another big concern of mine, was like getting to know people, because like I only knew, like I have one friend from high school here that actually goes here. Actually, no, one friend from high school that actually goes here in engineering.
Same.
And yeah, I was just like, I just wanted to meet so many people, and I just like didn't have the confidence back then to like, I don't know, just throw myself out there. But now I feel like I do. Now I'm like, whenever I go out to like, I don't know, whether it just be like go to a bar or it's just stages. Like go to stages. Yeah, we had that video when we were like,
that was a good video.
That was a good night too.
It's on my Instagram. It's on my archives.
Oh, is it actually?
Yeah, you could literally just go on my Queens 24 and like eventually you'll find it. I archive a lot of things. Like you'll the whole idea is that whenever I die, like my whole Instagram is just gonna be a movie. It's straight up.
Like that's actually a good. It's like
people,
a memory of life thing.
Yeah, quite literally. Like if you go on Queens 24, I'm sure you'll find it somewhere.
What's your name on
It's
Instagram?
Nico.
Oh yeah.
Shout out my Instagram. Nico.sanz. Yo, the
yes,
Queens.
sir. Future Colombian president.
Queens 24. There you go.
This one?
Yeah. And then eventually
my phone is so slow. Ever since I dropped it in a puddle after ritual.
and I also have all these songs I remember that I just play on like everything. That's like St. Patty's. That's second year. That's this. Rock Thunder. Toronto. Oh shit. Toronto. Oh fuck. Okay.
This one.
Hoko. That's My House. Hoko.
Actually, I died on Hoko last year. It was a rough time. Hey, there it is.
There it is.
Young Money Greater. That's so good. Nicki Minaj playing in the background. Shout out Nicki.
Shout out Nicki Minaj. There you go. Yeah, feel free to look at it all the time. It's gonna be there for the rest of time. But
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I say that's amazing a lot.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I also relate to the same feeling. I think people don't really actually know this about me. I am sometimes the most shyest. Like I am very shy to like when I'm talking, I appear very like outgoing, confident, whatever you want to call it. But for me, my biggest problem, and I also had those same concerns that you had when you first moved here, because I also had only one friend from high school that was living with me. And I was like, well, shit. Like now, also because we both came, I presume you weren't here in Kingston first year, right? You're in home in Georgetown?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're in that same circumstances where we were going to Kingston in our second year without really knowing that much people because of Zoom, right? I didn't really establish that strong connections via Zoom. And we didn't have those benefits that the first years had with all like, orientation week or anything like that, right? And so I remember like thinking to myself like, dude, and I remember I struggled like the first few weeks because like I was like, oh my, like how am I going to meet people? How am I going to establish like these actual friendships and such?
Yeah.
And I always had I still have that difficulty, to be honest. I'm still developing that within myself in a way, but I always had difficulty doing that first step. You know what I mean? Of like actually introducing yourself and actually meeting people. Like the hello to me is the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Because after the hello's done and over with, like I'm solid. Like I could talk forever.
Yeah, like once I like figure if I go out somewhere and like talk to the person I've met before, like it's always getting over that hump of like the first like initial like, hey, how's it going? Like, yeah, like what are you doing at Queens? Like what program are you in? Like all this different stuff. And like once I find something that I have in common, I can just talk for hours.
Exactly. No, that's the thing. I'm
honestly, not very good at small talk.
Me neither. I mean, it's kind of just awkward. It's like, oh, like, you know what I mean? It's what you expect.
Yeah.
And if they don't relay that energy, then it's just kind of like dying. It's just dead from the start.
Yeah. And then if it dies right after that, I'm like,
nice.
All right. Have a nice life. I don't know what to say after that. I just
fair enough.
Just move on, basically.
I just say take care.
Yeah. I've been saying take care too.
Take care. It's just a safe bet. But like, that's the thing. Like, I think I'm still developing that within myself where it's like, okay, I need to really start going. And like, again, I've always been I've always been preaching this, go out of your comfort zone, right? But I should practice more of what I preach and really do that more often of just like randomly talking to people, saying hi, getting out of that comfort zone. But I'm lucky enough to like have a decent enough personality within myself to have met so many awesome people in this school. And I know that like everyone I've met so far in this school, all of them are going to be doing something in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all you're doing at the school right now is establishing a networking base with all these crazy people who are all doing something in life.
Yeah. And another thing I'm really excited for too is like if we ever have like a Queen, for example, in my case, like the Queen's engineering like Sci 24 year
10-year or whatever.
What's the word? Like not like anniversary,
reunion.
But reunion, yeah. The reunion, and then like get to go see all those people that I met like here at Queens like all that time ago, and like basically reintroduce myself and say like, hey, how have you been since then? What you been up to? And just like hear their experience versus mine would be like really interesting.
It'd be really cool to see. I really
want that to happen. I don't want to grow up fast enough, or I don't want to grow up too fast, but like I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I can relate to that. No, I'm really exciting. It's really exciting to see what everyone's up to, how people are going to grow and develop. I can't wait, to be honest. I also, like, I don't want to age. Like, that's probably my biggest fear in life.
Yeah, aging.
It's like, I don't mind the death, like, the idea of death to me. Like, the idea of dying to me has always been somewhat, like, I could see the peace within it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of just aging just sounds so sucky to me. And I'm just like, like I feel like at some point it's not that bad. Like obviously when you're growing up from like your teenage years to adult to young adult to perhaps even middle age, maybe.
Yeah.
But after the middle age, it just sounds like such a crappy process, and I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest.
I don't fear I don't fear death itself, but I fear what comes after death because I have no idea what comes after death, and nobody knows what comes after death. I just that unknowingness or that unknown
Makes you uncomfortable.
Yes.
I like to think that like at some point everyone finds peace with that. You know what I mean? Like I think, obviously people try to search the answers via religion. And to me, I personally I'm agnostic, and I think that's the most peaceful way to view things, with the whole idea of like it's like I don't know, and it's an unknown, but is that necessarily a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like is it like like I understand people feel uncomfortable with that sort of concept that like no one really knows what happens once you die, and like obviously like our consciousness goes wild thinking about that, because it's like okay, like you know what I mean, like what are we, you know what I mean, like the whole question of what are we and what makes us so special compared to like an ape, you know what I mean, and why, like all these questions that I think humanity's had within themselves for years, sorry, not even years, for centuries, millenniums, etc., right? Like those sort of like questions have maybe will never be answered, you know what I mean? And I like to think that like why stress about that, right? Or why put attention into that, right? While we're alive. You know
I don't think about it very much like at all.
Right.
And I feel like the main reason that I do think about it when I do is because like I know that I have so much left that I want to accomplish, and I don't want my life to end before I accomplish those things. Like yeah.
I also like there's a lot of things I also want to do with my life, and obviously no one has tomorrow guaranteed. You know what I mean? Just an unfortunate reality is that we're all pretty easily killable in some way. Like we could just be randomly walking on the street and just like I don't know, miscalculate something and get run over. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty easy to kill one of us, but I like to think that like there's like obviously if I were to die tomorrow, and hopefully future me is listening to this, but if I were to die tomorrow, like I mean obviously
knock on wood,
literally, I like to think to myself that like obviously it would suck that like I died. Obviously wanted to do a lot
sucks
more.
I died, but like
like obviously I wanted to do a lot more, especially at 20. Like I think this next 10 years of my life are going to be probably the pretty crazy, I would say.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm excited.
I'm pretty excited. Between 20 and 30, a lot of crap is going to go on. Like I can't even say, cuz like honestly if I told myself 3 years ago everything I've done as of yet, I wouldn't have believed myself. So who am I to speak about what I'm going to do to the next decade? You know what I mean? Like next thing you know, like I don't know, like I'm TikTok CEO. You know what I mean? Who knows? But like there's so many things I would want to do that if I were to die hypothetically tomorrow, I'd be obviously disappointed, but I'd also be happy that I've done so much within my time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I had here. So let's just hope I don't die. But if I do, then shit. At least I did a lot of cool things while I was alive.
Yeah, let's hope that none of us die young.
No, hopefully. Okay, I'm going to end this because we're getting past the hour and 20 mark.
All right.
Connor, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
I need to film this for my own.
For your own memories?
Yeah.
All right.
Where's the best place to start,
we're also going to take a photo here too.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick photo. I got to post it to the gram,
All right. Do your outro spiel.
Connor, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here in the BrassO podcast. Any last words you want to tell yourself, to the future self, whatever you want to say? You got the platform.
I mean, I don't know. I guess you just you know what you're destined for. Just have fun doing it. That's like the only thing I got. Yeah, it was a really fun time. I'm so glad. I'm amazed by this place around
it's
here
a
right
pretty
now.
Cool setup.
It's like literally just walking this one random door right next to Clark Hall. Shout out Clark Hall.
Shout out to Clark Hall.
There every Friday. And
Ritual.
It's just like this whole other world basically. Like the setup is like so advanced.
All thanks to Queen's University, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys, this is the BrassO Show, 101.9 FM. This is your host, BrassO, signing out.
See ya.
Peace.